let me know.
Okay, I'm recording.
Okay, good. Then I can just get it on there by now. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so
Hey,
go
Mike.
yeah,
I sent your schedule to the PSARG editor, and he's going to try and make the meetings as his schedule permits. And obviously, he just couldn't join in today.
well, you are a guest, a Rotarian guest.
Oh,
So
I guess so.
Daryl Hooper is on our virtual meeting, and I'm going to find John Janicki $10 when we get back for not introducing him. So, Christine, you keep track of the money we find because we're going to collect it later. Is that okay? All right. So, Daryl, thank you for being on. Do we have any other guests on this web page? Okay, if not, we're going to go straight to club business. And I see that Tim Halloran is on. He's a little dark, but Tim, we want to hear what we're doing for the auction. And so you're on, and they've unmuted you.
Okay, so I put out that question regarding doing an online auction for a few of the items that were going to be in the auction. 9 people thought it was a good idea. One person said, no, I don't think it's a good idea. Other comments were, you know, maybe we'll get lower prices. Should we do both online and live or do all online? Lots of different comments were made. But anyway, there are just a few items, 2 to be specific right now, or that people sent in. One, Mark Venn talked about doing a 50-person barbecue on August 16th at Steve Rule's place out on Big Lake. And another, Teak Martin, has the Nordic Tug Trip, which he was going to donate. And that's usually something that occurs in the summertime, and after September 25th might get a little cool out there on the Sound. So there are a couple others that would come on that were the same thing, that were being planned to be done this summer, and this won't work real well for that, to do the auction in September. So it would seem to me that we could gather up as many items as need to be done online so that they can be enjoyed over the summer. And we could either do this as an online sale, sent out to everybody that we sent an invite to, or we could just do it at a club meeting once we get back together. Lots of different options like that. One point is that we need to send out a letter to all the people that received an invitation officially announcing that we're postponing the auction until September 25th. And if we're going to do the auction, I'd like to include information about the auction on that letter, because it's kind of expensive to send a letter to everybody, and I don't want to do it 2 or 3 times. I'd also hope to get a hold of as many email addresses from all those folks as possible so that we could keep in touch with them without sending letters. And also, it wouldn't be a bad thing to do just for the experience of doing it. Danny says that our software will handle the auction. We don't want to do a whole bunch of items on it, but if we did a few, then it might be a good learning experience for us, and that would be great.
Okay, so my opinion on this, which is small, is that I think we should do a couple items just to see if we can actually figure out how to do this. I would recommend that we have the auction open the last week of June so that we could close it right before that Friday of the installation. Hopefully we can actually have an installation. But if not, that would be the time frame so that it gets in the right year, so that Mike Mosier would know a little bit more about money he could spend during the summer. So that's my recommendation, but this is open for discussion. So if anyone else has an idea, let's hear it.
Hey, Mike, this is Travis. One thing I was thinking of, that I've heard from a lot of people, clients especially, that they're thinking of wanting to use their stimulus money to donate back to local charities and the community. So I don't know if there's, if that should consider in just arrival of that money and timing. We're not really sure when that's going to happen, but they're thinking probably end of April to middle of May.
Well, I mean, I think that that's money that may or may not show up. I mean, I know that we put one in, and there was 10,000 loans just that Banner Bank has that are in the stimulus plan.
Well,
And
to be clear, I'm not talking about the business money. I'm talking about the individual stimulus checks.
oh, okay.
Just heard a lot of people that are thinking they're going to take that in one hand and hand it right off to, food banks and that sort of thing. So just an idea.
Okay. That's probably, that's probably a good idea for some people. I don't know how we would tie that into the auction. I mean, we're trying to do a silent auction thing. I think we could, I'm not sure how to do that part of it, Travis.
Yeah, I'm the only thing I'm suggesting is just timing, timing a live auction item with something like that. But it's just an idea. I don't want to get hung up on it.
Travis, I was thinking the same thing. And I was actually thinking it specifically to like fund a scholarship, like fund a 2020 senior scholarship for that class, just the timing of it, like putting that out into the world too. If we could do it some way, an online, donate, this is how much we want to raise $40,000 for scholarships. This is how much each scholarship is, and make it coincidentally the same as what those checks are going to be, kind of amount, and not say it, not name it, but just put it out there to the world.
Go ahead, Mark.
Well, I was going to say, I think that's a great idea to do that, but the timing is the whole key, and to have that for scholarships, I think people would be very open to contributing money, particularly the money that some of us will be getting. People like Daryl Heisler probably make too much money to be able to get that. But that being said, I was thinking about this summer thing that Tim mentioned out at Steve Rule's, about putting a dollar amount on that and seeing how that goes. Say, I just was thinking the other day, we could possibly make up to $10,000 on that item just by putting an amount on it and offering it to the club members first. And then if we didn't get 50 people, then we could go outside the club. So I'm thinking between $100 and $200 per person. People would be willing to come in and spend a day on August 16th at the lake, and we would put on the barbecue. Mike's already talked to me about helping. I think that would possibly be a good fundraiser for us.
Well, and the other thing is that just think about how much money you're saving between now and the end of June by not going to the meetings. And I can tell you right now that I'm saving more than $200 between now and the end of June by not going to the Rotary meetings. So if you look at it that way, and because to get $10,000 for this thing, there's 50 people, you're talking $200 a person. I don't think that's, it's a lot of money for a lunch or whatever we were going to get, but that's beside the point. I think it would be very rewarding to do. And I think we should do it. I don't know, Mark. I mean, this is maybe something that we don't even put on the auction. We just see if we can get 50 people to show up for $200 a piece or whatever that number is.
I'd be interested to hear what Rich has to say about that.
I think it's a good idea. And, I think it might be $300 a couple, might be more palatable to a lot of people. I think if you say 400 for a couple, basically is what you're saying. It may be a little rich, we may come up short, but then again, we may have the same amount of money. But I think we should put it on the card or the letter that Tim's sending out. And, once we arrive at a price, and $200 is not that outrageous. I'm happy to pay that, but it should be on there because there may not be enough people in the club that either can't be there because of other commitments or can't afford it or, whatever. There's a lot of reasons. And so I think it should be something that you could put on there. You could, please come to our, a description and then, whatever price you think, you put it on there. And if we end up with 60 people instead of 50, I'm sure that's a big area. I'm sure we could handle it.
Okay. So Rich, I think that sounds like everybody, or not everybody, we didn't do a vote, but sounds like we should probably do this, and I would leave it up to you and Tim to get it written up. And maybe the way you do it is a minimum of $300 for a couple. But if you want to pay more, you could pay more. And because the whole goal is to have money so we can, do projects and give away money, right? I mean, we don't spend any money on ourselves. We spend it on the community. So we're just trying to jumpstart it a little bit before the auction.
If I could just jump in there because there's one other item that I think, as I understand, is going to be available, but would have to do it this summer on this, is the zip line program at the Boy Scout camp. And I think, as I recall, there's only a day or two we could do it. So we would have to do it at that point in time. So that's something I think we should also put on there.
So John, is that something that you do?
Yeah, I did that, but my guess is that the camp will probably be canceled. So that's probably not going to be available, but who knows? I need to check into that.
Okay, so if we did this I'm just thinking that maybe the last 2 weeks of June, we have the auction open or I don't know how many, you got to have a couple days for this thing to work. And we have 2 or 3 items in it that we can bid on. If you'd know by then, John, wouldn't you?
Well, sure. Yeah, I'm hoping to know sooner.
Okay.
Hey, Mike, one other thought. I know in our last conference call last week that one of the Rotarians put a note in the comments that they would be willing to buy a work party right now. So June might be really good timing to put some work parties out there.
Okay. Well, it's the same thing. We'll have to wait till at least they open up the state, because right now we can't do a work party. We'd have to, but we're hoping by June stuff is behind us, I guess. So a work party, I guess what we do is we put a price on the work parties, and if we can do 2 of them, we do 2 of them or so.
So what have work parties gone for in our last few auctions? Does anybody remember?
Rich, do you remember?
I want to say $1,000 or $1,300. It seems like.
Okay, so we'll put a minimum bid of like $1,000 on a work party, and maybe we do 2 of them, and someone gets a good deal, but we do a couple work parties this summer.
You know, we could put, yeah, you could do if you're willing to do 2 for 1,000. But you may want, you know, the one thing about that is if we wait till the end of June to do it, it really cuts down the time that somebody might want it done. But I think it's fine because we can still sell work parties at the auction, the live auction too.
Well, I mean, you got to remember that someone actually has to do them. So, but I think that we got some pent up desire to go out and do some yard work and stuff right now. That I think we could sell a couple of them, and people would be excited about actually doing them. They'd have to be done like in July and August. So we would just have to do them. Okay. So Tim, it sounds like you and Rich need to write a letter explaining what we're doing, come up with a time frame on when we would have this open auction time, and then you guys come up with a list of things that need to be done. John's going to find out about the zip line. Teek's going to find out the dates of the boat trip, and we go from there. And Stephanie, you need to figure out how to do this auction for the scholarships, because I think those timing are different by about a month and a half, but I don't see a problem with people wanting to donate money directly to the scholarships if they have any.
Mike?
Okay. Yeah.
Teak here. I would also think, besides the scholarship donations, that a direct donation into our Sedro Woolley Rotary Foundation, so we have some discretion with our other projects too, that it doesn't have to be just a scholarship.
Okay. I don't have an opinion one way or another. I think the auction committee needs to figure that all out. So if someone wants to donate to the Sedro Woolley Foundation, well, they're both going to the Sedro Woolley Foundation, but if you're earmarking it for scholarships versus just earmarking it for the foundation, I think is fine.
Sounds good.
Danny here. I think our software program will allow us to run multiple online auctions. So if we wanted to do scholarships and direct donations in May, we could host that auction. And then later in June, if we wanted to have those other particular items, host that as a second online auction. Or you keep or either that, or you just start the scholarships in May and keep it open throughout the duration for an extended period of time. So
I like that better. It's rich. People are kind of hurting now. They don't really want to. I think if you keep the online auction or the scholarships open for the whole time, that's okay. And Mark, I need a description on what the event you're going to do and what you're providing and all the particulars.
Okay, I can work on that, Rich.
That was Mark Vin.
Well, Mark Nelson can do it too if he wants.
I don't know if he's talking to me or you.
He's talking to me, I think, Mark.
Why don't
Mark
both
Vin.
of you do one and I'll see which one's better.
No, I'll delegate that. I'll delegate it.
So John wasn't at our meeting last week, but I volunteered as jet skis to go to the party. So John, just so you know that.
Do we have the houseboat?
Stephanie says it might be at a different one, but we have another boat. we will have boats there for people that, whatever you call it, inner tube. Maybe we can get Teserick to bring his boat across the lake over there to do some water skiing or stuff too.
I just need to know so that I can tell the other party that we're moving their weekend.
That'd
Stephanie,
be great if you could get it.
We're going to use this date, so if it's on the same one, we can get you a different boat or whatever. So
I'll move the party to Friday night.
okay, well, perfect then.
Good. You know, Steve Rule mentioned that you might want to do a roast pig. He's got a setup there for that. And then I know you've done that before, Mike. That might be something that would be attractive to people.
Yeah, I got a better pig roaster than Rule, so I will bring the one that I have. And pigs are really easy to do. But I mean, honestly, if you're going to do a pig roast, this should be 75 to 100 people, because I get an 80-pound pig or a 100-pound pig. They're the same price. So I think the upper limit would be, 100 people versus 50. So go ahead.
Let me talk to Steve about that, because originally when Team August was going to do it was going to be 50, but he's hosted groups of up to 100 out there, I know for sure. We'll have to talk to Neil Hansen about parking and all that, but let me talk to Steve about bumping that up.
Okay, and also, it sounds like we're going to have to get some more people involved in helping too. So it might need, we need about probably at least 10 or 15 people to help put this thing on. And I think that we can get it between Rotarians that want to work it.
Okay, good.
Okay, so are we done with auction stuff so we can go to the next one? Sounds like we are. Teak, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to talk about what's going on international with our this coronavirus issues based on what projects we're working on.
Thank you, Mike. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Mainly, I've been in touch with IPA, our International Project Group in Copan, and things are shut down in Copan. They have a lot of entrances to the town with gravel in the streets and stuff, big piles. So all those folks that we deal with down there, other than a couple of our Rotary contractors, are out of work in the hotels and tourist business. So they're really hurting. Some of the friends of IPA, not the organization per se, have picked up supporting some families that are out of work there. So if anyone's interested in helping out there, I'll get you some information. And, for the families, basically, like one of my Spanish teachers, well, Spanish school is not out. Her clothing store is out. Her husband, who drives all 12 hours a day, there's no place to go, no driving, so no income. So it's really tough down there. The other international projects are kind of on hold right now, pending where things go with our auction money and everything. So fortunately, we'd funded most of the projects we were going to fund, and everything else we're kind of putting on hold right now. So again, our auction that we do in May is our moneymaker, and the money making for all these projects, domestic, international scholarships, depends on what we're doing now. And I just want to commend everyone for their ideas and what we're doing now to make up some of the money pending the fall auction. So anyone who is interested in helping out internationally, either give me a call or a message or email the addresses out of our book, and we can always find you someone you can help. There are a lot of people hurting a lot more than us, and I kind of jokingly tell my wife is I feel really kind of guilty when I'm worrying about gaining weight here and eating too many goodies around, and I know people who have no income coming in to buy their food down there. So a lot of people are hurting around the world. So back to you, President Mike.
Okay, well, thanks. So since we got Daryl Hooper on this thing, Daryl, I didn't talk to you about it, but if you want to, can you explain this grant that the 5 Rotary clubs are doing together and kind of where we're going to spend the money? Is he still on? Well, he might have skipped off. I don't know. So I will explain.
He's on. You just got to unmute him. Somebody's got to unmute him.
Oh,
Who was it?
Daryl Hooper.
He's got to
Now,
be
can
on.
you hear me?
There you go.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Well, the district has allocated $5,000 matching grant for each area. And we have 5 clubs in our area, as you well know. And we hope to get all 5 clubs putting in the $5,000. It looks like we're going to get there. I'm just waiting for a couple of them to confirm their commitment. And we've met several times with the presidents and president-elects, and it looks like the food banks where we're going to put most of the money, and then the balance of it will go to, I think, maybe 1,000 Boys and Girls Club to pay for the thermometers that they had to buy. But consensus is the food banks. We've looked at other needs here in the community, but since Helping Hands is serving the number of people that they are and the deliveries that they're doing, they really need a lot of help. So that's where we plan on putting probably 90% of that money, which would be like $9,000, somewhere in there, that will go to Helping Hands to buy food. And we should get that money here pretty soon. I'm just waiting for the commitments from another couple of clubs. I'll fill out the application, send the grant application in, and they'll send us a check, and then I'll collect from other clubs and we'll get this done. So.
Oh, okay, thank you, Daryl. So just some of the things that happen while we're in this virtual world that we're in right now, which we've had 3 meetings on this grant application, and Becky Eldy and Mike Mosier and I have been involved in it. And we've never met, right? We've done this whole thing from our kitchen tables or wherever we need to be. And so this is $10,000. This money was probably originally supposed to go to putting on one of the conventions that was canceled. So they brought money back to the clubs to use at the local level. And this idea of doing the money for the food bank was universally accepted as the most important thing that we could do right away for this community, because a lot of people have been laid off like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, and those first checks that they're going to get won't be until maybe the 15th to the 20th of April. So they are literally living off the food that they're getting at the food banks right now, and their kids are living off the meals that they're getting at the school systems. And that's critical, and we need to support that right now more than anything else we could come up with. So that's a program that we're doing. And basically everything else that we're doing in the community when it comes to Steve's and John's projects are on hold, basically because the concrete plants are closed. You know, I mean, we could get stuff, but the social distancing right now in the construction has got us basically 2 blocked on the rest of the projects we got. So it's 12:37, and we don't have a speaker today. Next week we're going to have 2. John guarantees me we're going to have 2 new member talks for next week. So unless somebody has something else we should bring up for the good of the order, and I was thinking for the good of the order would be if anyone has a good story of what they've been doing for the last 2 weeks, and I'd love to hear it. I bet you everyone in this group would. So I'm opening it up for anyone who wants to either have a good joke, a good story, or ask of what Rotary should be doing for someone. Right? I'm opening it up.
Mike, this is Rich, and I'm wondering, I noticed in the paper the other day, Skagit Rotary is, I don't know what their participation level is or what they're doing, but they're assisting in getting personal protection equipment out to first responders, hospitals, et cetera, et cetera. And I wondered if that was something that we should look into. That obviously seems to be a problem by watching the news across the country and also in Skagit County. So, you know.
So we brought that up. That was one of the things that was discussed that we could use this grant for. The problem is if we took $1,000 right now and tried to find personal protection gear, we would be taking it from someone else who already needs it to give back away. So according to, I can't remember who I talked to, that program is going through FEMA and the emergency management right now to try to order stuff. And it's not a lack of money. It's a lack of supplies that they're into right now. That's what I was told. So that's why we decided to go with the food bank. But we had discussed that substantially. And I know that John Bolts is the one that was working on that. Is that right, Daryl?
Well, that was the Skagit Rotary, and that was Joe.
Joe.
He's the president there. And they distributed quite a few masks, which were made locally over at Eddie Line, and then Chinook has taken it over. But I think they have a problem getting the plastic shields, the material to make them. But they put out quite a few of them in the community, in the hospital, and some of the nursing homes.
Did that answer your question, Rich?
Sure. I just threw it out there as an idea, and mainly based on what I saw that what Joe Lindquist was doing.
Well, Joe was involved in this discussion about where the money should go for the food bank, and he recommended that the money go to the food bank, and that these other groups were handling that personal protection stuff at this point.
Good enough.
Hey, Mike,
Hey,
can I say something? Mike, this is Mark Venn.
Yeah.
I heard you mention earlier about the induction, and I guess this applies to both Mikes. But we're assuming the induction is going to take place at the end of June, when it always does. And then part of that induction is the Paul Harris Awards. And I happen to be the head of that committee, along with Dave Bricka and Mike Mosier and Phil Mihalik and Avery Martin. I'm asking you, as the president-elect and president, do we want to move ahead with the Paul Harris Awards this year? If we do, then I've got an announcement to make. So what are you thinking, both the Mikes?
I think absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's important that we continue on.
Okay, that being the case, as we move forward, our committee needs to have recommendations from you, as well as other Rotarians in our club, as nominations for the Paul Harris Awards for this year. We have a number of those that were last year that didn't make the cut, but they're still out there. But I was thinking that April 30th would be the kind of the cutoff date. And because we need to have the names in, and Mike, you need to order all the paraphernalia for that. And if you have trouble, John Janicki can help you. But if you people have some names of some people you think are deserving of the Paul Harris Service Above Self Award, not only from our club, but from our community as well, please contact myself or one of the other members on the committee so we can get that ball rolling. And then our committee, once we get names in before, after April 30th, we'll hopefully have the names of this year's recipients to get to you, Mike Janicki, so you can order the certificates. Does that make sense?
Okay, well, I'll make sure I have John or someone to help me know how to do the ordering.
John
Hey,
will help you.
Mike and Mike.
Yep.
Hey, this is John. So I would challenge that you reconsider that we do the Paul Harris, because there's no guarantee that we can even get together in June with 100 people or so. That's probably not going to happen. And I would not want to try to do a handout of Paul Harris in virtually. So,
couldn't we hold off, John, and give the awards at a meeting or something? I mean, if we have somebody that deserves recognition.
Well, you could do that. I'm not arguing, but it's also, you know, I think postpone, you know, taking a pause for a year is not the end of the world. So that's an idea. Okay. So you guys,
I could go either way. That's what I brought it up for.
Well,
Maybe
okay, we have
meeting, apart from this, the Paul Harris Committee, a Zoom meeting sometime beyond this.
Yeah.
We can talk a little bit about all that.
Well, and the other thing, we have a board meeting next Tuesday night. Maybe we need to discuss this at the board meeting. And come to a decision as a board.
That sounds like a good idea. I just let me know, and I'll let the rest of my committee know. And
Good.
I could go either way. I can see reason for doing it, and I can see reasons for not having it this year and just postponing it this year.
Okay, I just put it on the agenda for our board meeting on Tuesday, so I got it.
Can I say something?
Yeah, David.
So I think I've got the best PPE right here.
Jeez.
Custom made for me by Pam Meffner. We are wearing masks at Country Meadow Village. We're on the front lines working really, really hard to keep everyone safe and healthy and happy. And it's been a grueling few weeks, and it's pretty crazy, but we're making it work out here, and appreciate all the support from everyone, and we'll get through this. And that's it.
Okay, well,
Mike, I was going to ask Stephanie how homeschooling's going. I think that's important.
But I think you need to ask Lynn how homeschooling is, because according to her post,
Are you talking about Christine?
Yeah, Christine.
Yeah, her kids, I heard they're the valedictorians on Rose Road. Yeah, shout out to all the teachers in the district and the tech department and Daryl. We are reinventing the wheel as we're rolling along. It's a project.
Hey, Mike, I'll share a quick funny little story that I saw on Facebook. It said, just feel bad for all the teachers in the fall when all they're going to be hearing is, that's not how mom told me to do it.
That's good. Also, we've handed out about 1,600 laptops to kids that need them, and so it's working well. Other than the traffic jam we had on Monday, and Lynn Tucker said, "Oh well, whatever."
I hear a lot of these kids. I hear a lot of these kids are in detention at home.
Yeah.
I noticed Ruth is MIA today. What did you just totally burn her out, Daryl?
She's been handling a lot of the heavy load, and then she's been taking a lot of the criticism. She's done a great job, and there have been some good days and there have been some bad days, but I think she's working with Phil on a letter right now. They're both gone right now. So
So I heard the opposite. I heard that all the students were gifted and they're already done.
yeah, a lot of them think so.
The parents now have to deal with the new discipline laws that say you can't exclude kids.
Right.
Speaking of letters, we've gotten about 35 letters for our pen pal program that Ruth helped get the word out about. And these letters and pictures that these kids have written are just fantastic. In fact, I've got 4 letters today, return letters from the first round, and it's really been cool to see what they're studying and what they're doing. So that's a lot of fun.
That's great.
So just so everybody knows, out in Concrete, I've become a very high-priced delivery boy,
Yeah.
and then everything else that comes along with things. So,
yesterday we delivered 1,850 some meals, lunch, breakfast, and lunch to combo. So
yeah, things are going well though.
Good for you guys.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you one story, and Stephanie, if I exaggerate this at all, you can step in. But we had to take care of our kids one time when school was out, and we hired a lady that was supposed to be really knew what she was doing. She said she'd play with the kids and all these other issues. So Lisa's at work, I'm at work, and at 2:00 in the afternoon, I get a phone call from Lisa that says, your babysitter has quit and you need to get home right away because your children had tied her up, taken her artificial leg and hit it, and then left. So my children were all over the neighborhood, and they had tied up the babysitter and took her leg. So this is the kind of stuff that I can't even imagine if we had to take care of kids today. But this is what I dealt with 25 years ago. And Stephanie, was this story close to the truth?
Everything about that story is the truth.
So how old were you when that happened?
Well, we still lived on Dana Drive, and we moved out of Dana Drive when I was in 1st grade. So it means Jordan was in 2nd grade, and we were all younger than 7, 5 of us.
5 of you under 7, and they convinced the babysitter to tie her up, and then they took her leg. So I don't know, Daryl, if you've had to deal with anything with that in school, but that's the kind of parenting that we dealt with when I was raising young kids.
Mike, you might forget that I had all 4 of your kids in Sunday school at one time. Stephanie had to go home and tell your mom we cannot send them all together anymore. Or your wife.
So, yeah. So anyhow, with that, unless someone else has a nice little story to finish Thursday up, we are going to adjourn this meeting until we have a board meeting on Tuesday, and then we'll see you guys all again next Thursday.
Well, hey, Mike, I actually do have something.
Okay.
We have been taking in donations of laptops. We have it called Laptops for Learning because a lot of the students don't have one. They can't get one from the school district right now, or they have a single system for 4 kids or what have you. And we've actually had a lot of success getting them in. We've had some businesses donating them to us, and we're refurbishing them for free and getting them out there. And so, Daryl, if you have anybody who is looking for a system, the Sedro Woolley School District is pretty well set, but sounds like not everybody has a 1-to-1 ratio around here from Mount Vernon and Accordis, et cetera. We have a handful of them ready for donation, and we have a bunch more of them coming in. So if anybody has a need to donate, or if anybody has a need for one, just let us know.
How old?
How old for the laptops? I mean, laptops or tablets, as long as they can, access the web browser right now, they're usually pretty good. So, it's in the last probably 5 years.
Okay.
That's all.
Adrian, if you could give me a call at the Concrete School District, I could maybe use some.
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
My wife is handling most of the strategic parts of it right now, but I can have her touch base with you for sure.
Thank you, sir.
You bet.
Okay, and then one last thing. since we're recording this, Daryl, how long will it take before it's on whatever our page is or whatever? No, Daryl.
I'll wait till I get it from Travis and I'll upload it. So it shouldn't take too long.
I'll get it to you today.
So we just need to make sure that anyone who's not here today has an opportunity to look at what we've done, and we can give them credit for it. Anything else? I'm going to go break into the community center, and I'm going to get the bell so I can close and start these meetings starting next week. Okay? With that, we are done. Thank you guys very much.
Everybody.
Goodbye.
Hi, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.